Hello everyone, welcome back to Story Time, and today I'm going to read chapter 10 from Alice in Wonderland. This chapter is called The Lobster Quadrille, and a quadrille is a type of dance. Last time we met the mock turtle and the griffin, and they were strange creatures, and Alice was taking a walk with them, and they decided that they were going to tell her about the lobster quadrille. So that's what we're going to find out about today. It's a really strange chapter and lots of it is difficult to understand, but you'll still understand what's going on and that they're getting ready to go somewhere else at the end of the chapter. So this is part 1 of chapter 10, The Lobster Quadrille. The mock turtle sighed deeply and drew the back of one flapper across his eyes. He looked at Alice and tried to speak, but for a minute or two sobs choked his voice. "Same as if he had a bone in his throat," said the griffin, and it set to work shaking him and punching him in the back. At last the mock turtle recovered his voice, and with tears running down his cheeks went on again. "You may not have lived much under the sea." "I haven't," said Alice. "And perhaps you were never even introduced to a lobster." Alice began to say, "I once tasted," but then checked herself hastily and said, "No, never." "So you can have no idea what a delightful thing a lobster quadrille is." "No, indeed," said Alice. "What sort of a dance is it?" "Why," said the griffin, "you first form into a line along the seashore." "Two lines!" cried the mock turtle. "Seals, turtles, and so on. Then when you've cleared the jellyfish out of the way—" "That generally takes some time," interrupted the griffin. "You advance twice." "Each with a lobster as a partner," cried the griffin. "Of course," the mock turtle said. "Advance twice, set to partners. Change lobsters and retire in same order," continued the griffin. "Then, you know," the mock turtle went on, "you throw the—" "The lobsters!" shouted the griffin with a bound into the air. "As far out to sea as you can." "Swim after them!" screamed the griffin. "Turn a somersault in the sea!" cried the mock turtle, capering wildly about. "Change lobsters again!" yelled the griffin. "Back to land again! And that's all the first figure," said the mock turtle, suddenly dropping his voice. And the two creatures, who had been jumping about like mad things, sat down again very sadly and quietly and looked at Alice. "It must be a very pretty dance," said Alice timidly. "Would you like to see a little of it?" said the mock turtle. "Very much indeed," said Alice. "Let's try the first figure," said the mock turtle to the griffin. "We can do without the lobsters, you know. What shall we sing?" And the illustration here shows the mock turtle and the griffin with Alice in between them, having a little practice of the lobster quadrille, and Alice looks rather confused. So they're going to sing a song to dance to. "Oh, you sing," said the griffin. "I've forgotten the words." So they began, solemnly dancing round and round Alice, every now and then treading on her toes when they passed too close, and waving their forepaws to mark the time, while the mock turtle sang this very slowly and sadly. "Will you walk a little faster?" said a whiting to a snail. "There's a porpoise close behind us, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They're waiting on the shingle. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance?" And they went on. "You can really have no notion how delightful it will be when they take us up and throw us with the lobsters out to sea." But the snail replied, too far, and gave a look askance, said he thanked the whiting kindly, but he would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not, would not join the dance. Would not, could not, would not, could not, could not join the dance. And they went on. What matters it how far we go, his scaly friend replied. There is another shore, you know, upon the other side. The further off from England, the nearer is to France. Then turn not pale, beloved snail, but come and join the dance. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance? Thank you. It's a very interesting dance to watch, said Alice, feeling very glad that it was over at last. And I do so like that curious song about the whiting. Oh, as to the whiting, the Mock Turtle, you've seen them, of course. Yes, said Alice, I've often seen them at Din. She checked herself hastily. I don't know where Din may be, said the Mock Turtle. But if you've seen them so often, of course you know what they're like. I do believe so, Alice replied thoughtfully. They have tails in their mouths and they're all over crumbs. You're wrong about the crumbs, said the Mock Turtle. Crumbs would wash off in the sea, but they have tails in their mouths, and the reason is, and here the Mock Turtle yawned and shut his eyes. Tell her about the reason and all that, he said to the Griffin. The reason is, said the Griffin, that they would go with the lobsters to the dance, so they got thrown out to sea, so they had to fall a long way, so they got their tails fast in their mouths, so they couldn't get them out again, that's all. Thank you, said Alice, very interesting. I never knew so much about a whiting before. I can tell you more than that if you like, said the Griffin. Do you know why it's called a whiting? I never thought about it, said Alice. Why? It does the boots and shoes, the Griffin replied very solemnly. Alice was thoroughly puzzled. Does the boots and shoes? She repeated in a wondering tone. Why, what are your shoes done with? Said the Griffin. I mean, what makes them so shiny? Alice looked down at them and considered a little before she gave her answer. They're done with blacking, I believe. Boots and shoes under the sea, the Griffin went on in a deep voice, are done with whiting, now you know. And what are they made of? Alice asked in a tone of great curiosity. Soles and eels, of course, the Griffin replied rather impatiently. Any shrimp could have told you that. If I'd been whiting, said Alice, whose thoughts were still running on the song, I'd have said to the porpoise, keep back, please. We don't want you with us. They were obliged to have him with them, the Griffin said. No wise fish would go anywhere without a porpoise. Wouldn't it really? Said Alice in a tone of great surprise. Of course not, said the Mock Turtle. Why, if a fish came to me and told me he was going on a journey, I should say, with what porpoise? Don't you mean purpose? Said Alice. I mean what I say, the Mock Turtle replied in an offended tone, and the Griffin added, Come, let's hear some of your adventures. And that's where we're going to leave this part. So it's a very confusing chapter, and lots of the words are muddled up that the Griffin and the Mock Turtle say, and Alice doesn't understand a lot of what they're talking about. But the next part of the chapter will be even more confusing. So I'll see you again next time. Bye bye for now.